whether it's with Dallas or the team after that. What if he's worthy of the number 3 overall pick? We just hadn't seen him enough to make that justification. So I'm amazed this happened the way it did.
It's been well over a year since the Cowboys traded for Trey Lance. The 2021 top 3 pick is a guy that the 49ers traded a ton of their draft capital for. And after playing 6 games in San Francisco, throwing 5 touchdowns to 2 interceptions, they decided it was time to move on after Brock Purdy stepped up and balled out. So the Cowboys, of all teams, decided to trade for him while still having Dak Prescott under contract for 2 more years. And when they did it, it was a head scratcher. Now, over a year later, it's somehow even more of a head scratcher now that Dak is out for the rest of this season. The Cowboys essentially gave up a 4th round pick that they could have used on a running back in 2024 to get a backup's backup quarterback. Before the Dak injury, Lance had never even been active for a game in Dallas. 1 full season, 1 full training camp, and another 8 games. He was still inactive, but he has always dressed as the team's 3rd quarterback, but he wasn't ever going to get to play unless Dak and Rush got hurt in the same game. So what does that say about Trey Lance? What does that say about Mike McCarthy and the offensive coaching staff and what they think about Trey Lance? I mean, after all, they see him in practice every single day. We saw him on the field during the preseason and training camp. Pretty much what it says is that this trade was absolutely horrible and Trey Lance probably isn't that good. Now, this trade was never a good trade. It wasn't then, and it's certainly not now, especially when your backup quarterback has a QB rating of 28.2 through 2 games as the starter, and Lance still hasn't gotten a chance to really even get a snap in live action since Dak got hurt. I mean, the Cowboys haven't even thought about starting Trey Lance even when Cooper Rush had 2 yards per attempt against the Eagles. That guy is 100% starting over the guy that was a top 3 pick at one time and somebody that Dallas traded a 4th round pick for. It's just insane to me. The season is completely lost. The fans are already tired of seeing Cooper Rush, yet Lance hasn't really been mentioned in the conversation at all. And usually Jerry's the one really building up hype for these different guys. Now, do I think that Lance is better than Rush? No, not really. So why did Jerry trade for him? Well, I think that Jerry made this move for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, headlines. The Dak versus Lance debate was absolutely absurd. I mean, come on. It happened. The media companies ate up the storyline of a potential Dak Prescott extension, where he's going next, versus Trey Lance, the former 3rd overall pick. It grabbed headlines. It got people semi-excited about the potential of getting a top 3 pick from a few years before, and people ate it up. And then you have reason number 2, which to me was the bigger reason for making this move. I think Jerry, in particular, really wanted to take a gamble on the future of the quarterback position in Dallas. I think the hope was that Lance would be better than the 49ers thought and that the Cowboys could kind of mold him into the quarterback of the future while Dak Prescott's contract ran out. And with Dak under contract for 2 years, it'd give Lance time to sit, learn, show improvement, and then boom, he's your starting quarterback. He's your future and a much cheaper option until his contract eventually expires. Before we continue, I wanted to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, BETUS. We have much more than just football, basketball, baseball, hockey, tennis, even surfing. I mean, you name it, BETUS has it. But we all really like football around here, and they have NFL futures like the Super Bowl winner, conference winners, division winners, playoff specials, all of those fun future odds. They have you covered. The possibilities really are endless with BETUS. If you sign up today, you'll get a 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2. So go check out BETUS, where the game begins. All know by now as Cowboys fans, this front office isn't outsmarting anyone, like ever. So the question is, are we ever gonna see Lance play. The season's lost. You spent a 4th round pick. He hasn't dressed for a game or been at least active for a game. And Rush has been really bad. And I do have a little bit of a theory on this, a little theory about what Jerry Jones is planning to do with Trey Lance and how they're going to keep this fan base somewhat interested in the season. I think that this week is the final week against Washington that we see Cooper Rush get a start, or at least one of the last weeks we see him for sure be the quarterback that makes the start. Because up to this point, it's been Cooper Rush is our starter. He gives us the best chance to win. But my theory is on this short week, after the Commanders game, they're playing on Thanksgiving. That is when Lance is going to get his start. To me, it kind of makes sense. If Lance started this week against the Washington Commanders, that means he'd have to play against Washington, get the game plan down, play, and then in 3 short days have another game and really have no time for a turnaround, which could be a total disaster on national TV, one of the most watched games of the year. Dallas is playing the Giants, who aren't very good. Once again, this is completely conspiratorial. I have no evidence to back this up. I think Lance is preparing for the Giants while Rush is preparing for the Commanders. Lance gets 10 days, Rush gets the full regular week, and instead of a fast turnaround time for either of those guys, they just roll with that. Obviously, the front office can't go out into the media right now and be like, oh yeah, Rush is getting benched after this game no matter what happens. We want Lance to play on Thanksgiving. Well, now that I think about it, that is something that Jerry Jones would do. And maybe my conspiracy is just hope that is the plan, because guys, we are down so bad right now. This is completely sad. This is the saddest I can remember in some time being a Cowboys fan. Lance playing on Thanksgiving would probably interest me at least a little bit. He gets the start on Thanksgiving against Tommy DeVito of all people. To me, it's a very winnable game, but obviously we aren't wanting the Cowboys to win that game because we're in top 5 pick season right now, people. I mean, the game I want to see is Trey Lance throws for 500 yards and 5 touchdowns, but is beaten by Tommy DeVito on a last-minute drive to lose 51-48. You know, it'd be like that Tony Romo and Peyton Manning dueling it out in 2013. An absolutely electric Thanksgiving game. I mean, Lance versus DeVito in prime time, that is peak television, ladies and gentlemen. If you can't tell, that is sarcasm. I think we all know it'll probably be like 9-6 going into the 4th quarter with those two offenses combining for about 175 to 200 yards. But it's still more fun than what we've seen over the past few weeks anyways from this Cowboys team. I mean, even if Lance isn't good, and that's probably the answer to the question of why he hasn't been starting so far. He's probably not that great. We saw the 5 interceptions in the preseason. We saw the late reads, the high throws, the poor ball placement. I could go on and on, but we also saw a lot of that from Rush as well. And my thought process is the Cowboys are waiting for fans to get as low as humanly possible, and then they'll let Lance try to come in and save some sort of excitement for this fan base. And when else could you do that? On national TV, Thanksgiving Day, and it would be one of the more interesting things that Dallas could do. So at least that's what I hope happens. What do you guys think? Are we ever going to see Trey Lance, or is he so bad that the Cowboys are somehow embarrassed to even put him on the field? At this point, I just wish that this season actually mattered. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I love you all, and I'll see you next time.